Good morning, students. Today we will start our lecture in a subject pathology of reproduction. Our lecture plan for today. The topic of the lecture is congenital and senial infertility of animals, varieties and prevention of congenital infertility. Infertility is a biological concept. Moreover, the number of infertile animals or the percentage of infertility can be taken into account for any period of year. One of the possible sources of the infertility is the non-insemination of the female upon reaching the state of readiness to reproduce offspring intentionally for economic reasons, due to missed sexual cycles or acyclia. Another source of the lack of fertilization for reasons of external and internal nature, anatomical defects of the genital organs, gynecological diseases, late ovulation or its absence, for missed sexual cycles or cyclia, untimely or incorrect insemination, low biological quality of sperms, and etc. The third source of embryonic losses due to genetic factors or unfavorable environment in the uterus. In this lecture, we can take into account the congenital and the senial infertility of animals. The first one is congenital infertility. Congenital infertility is the inability to reproduce as a result of anomalies in the development of the reproductive apparatus of males and females aroused during the embryonic and fetal periods or as a result of biological inferiority of the eggs, sperm, and zygote. A peculiar manifestation of the congenital infertility is observed during fertilization. At the meeting of the normal eggs and sperm, but belonging to individuals to different types, fertilization does not occur, of the pregnancies is interrupted due to the biological disparity between the mature eggs and sperm. This, for example, explains the barrenness of the males. One of this disease is infantilism. Infantilism is simply underdevelopment of the genital organs or their functional state in an organism that has reached maturity due to an insufficient activity of pituitary gland or another hormonal systems. In other disorders of the endocrine and the nervous systems, in nature, females stimulate puberty in males and vice versa. This is also happens if there is no direct contact. The lack of the stimulation that can lead to infantilism. In some hybrids, despite the completion of body formation, sexual cyclicity does not appear. Sometimes, with regular sexual cycle, multiple insemination are still not accompanied by conception. Clinical signs of the disease. A small volume of the uterus and its horn is found. The ovaries is the size of a pea, or they may be normal size and contain follicles. Sometimes with the full development of the internal genital organs, there is underdevelopment of the vulva and vagina. The reason of the disease is a result of violation of the development of the fetus, its genital organs during the prenatal period. This is a relatively rare occurrence. The signs of the disease is a result of the violation, and in cases where twins of different sexes, a bull and heifer are born, which develop in utero. In one harem, there is heifer adult heart has an exterior characteristics of a bull, an overdeveloped clitoris, shortened vagina, and an underdeveloped cervix, uterus, and ovaries. This is a cheap infertility. In other cases, during the intrauterine development of the fetus, the formation of their genital organs is disrupted. As a result, the same fetus may have signs of male and female sex. They call it hermaphroditism. Hermaphroditism of the fetus is born with abnormal genital organs or anomalies, such as animal with subsequently will be born. Sometimes the fetus is born with a general underdeveloped of genital organs. They call it congenital infantilism. In most cases, such as animal is subsequently unsuitable for breeding. It is impossible to eliminate the consequences of congenital changes in the reproductive systems of animals. Therefore, it's necessary to identify and call such animals for meat in a timely manner. Treatment of the disease can be to stimulate the activity of the reproductive apparatus, communication of females with the probe, grazing, massage, tissue, and other preparation are used. If the animal is fertilized, the onset of pregnancy contributes to the formation of the genital. Pseudohermaphrodites are found mainly at the birth of heterosexual twins in a cows. And the bulls, as a rule, develop normally and can be full-fledged producers, and the prematine heifers is infertile. The origin of prematine is explained by the presence of anastomosis between the vessels and hormones of neighboring fetuses, so which male hormones penetrate the female fetus, causing masculinization. One of the significant factors determining the nature and the degree of disturbances in the development of the reproductive systems in the prematines is the time of the formation of the common placental system of opposite sex twins. Research by Petsky shows that this vascular connection in heterosexual twins occur late, after 2.5 months of age of the fetus. The changes in the development of the genital organs are not visually detected, and only a historical examination reveals some lack in the development of the genital organs. In breeds of cattle, gray horses, and white ponies, congenital infertility is noted, manifested in various anomalies of the organs with hormone ovaries, oviduct, and external genital organs. Typically, such animals lack of cervix, body on one uterine horns or other departments. The animal is known as white heifer disease. Shepherds consider the recessive gene associated with the lack of the pigmentation to be the cause of the type of congenital infertility. Clinical signs of this disease, that like of prematines, are characterized by a bull-like appearance. Animals of the genital organs after the birth of the heifer. It's recommended to use measurement to the vagina and examination of the cervical offspring using a narrow vaginal mirror with division or a proctoscope. In normal heifers, the length of the vagina is about 12 and 15 centimeters. The cervix has a shape of a rosette. In prematines, the length of vagina is about 2 and 4 centimeters, and vagina part of the cervix is absent. The second disease in congenital diseases is hermaphroditism. Hermaphroditism is an anomaly consisting in a development on the individual of the Mullerian and the Wolfram ducts, tests and ovaries consisting of ovarian and testicular tissue. Hermaphroditism can occur as a result of primary violation of the chromosome set in the form of mosaic of cells along the sex chromosomes. Hermaphroditism is also registered consequences of the disease of endocrine glands. That is, can be secondary disease. Hermaphroditism be inherited from the paternal line in pigs and goats. Hermaphroditism is always sterile. That congenital anomalies of the cervix of the congenital anomalies give grounds for calling animal is infertile. It should be noted the absence of cervix or its canal. Congenital anomalies of the uterus. The unicornate uterus can be found repeatedly in pigs and cows. The unicornate uterus fertility is the cause is not disturbed. In one case, we install twins in a unicornate uterus of a cow. Usually, the second horn and ovary are absent. The horn is a flat cord connected to the ovary. An animal of multiparous species, this anomaly causes little fertility. The next disease of the congenital infertility, like anomalies of the vulva and vagina, like external organs. Animal with a congenital absence of a vulva or vagina is discharged. In heifers and rarely in mares, overdevelopment of the urinary valve is noted. Talking for form and shape of the fibrous septum, which does not allow the introduction of the penis into the vagina. There are individuals in which the entrance to the vagina is completely overgrown. The vaginal cavity is touched by mucus, pus, or reddish yellow fluid that accumulates in it. Touching the vagina can make it difficult to have a bowel movement. The diagnosis is easily established by palpation through the vestibule and rectum. Treatment of the disease is described. Anomalies can be eliminated by cutting the dorsal edge of the hymen with scalpel, followed by the introduction of the vaginal speculum into the vagina, and for mechanical expansion and the destruction of the overdeveloped valve. The incision creates a fairly wide entrance to the vagina. After the operation, it's useful to generously lubricate the wound with disinfectant ointment to introduce ethyl salts. The next disease of congenital is impotence or infertility of males. This disease is characterized by underdevelopment of the penis, testes, formation cysts in them, as well as unilateral or bilateral cryptorchism. Testes linger the abdominal cavity. The underdevelopment of the testicles, determined by their small size and dull consistency. In the absence of the one or both testes in a scrotum, they can sometimes be found in genital canal. Cryptorchism in animals with underdevelopment testicles are colored from the number of producers. The second large part of our lections is about senial infertility. Senial infertility is about the animals who average timing of the onset of senile infertility in mares. In mares, this is 17-25 years. In cows, after 14-15 years. In sheep, in goat, after 6-8 years. In pigs, after 6-7 years, and in rabbits, 4-5 years. The onset of senile infertility is clinically manifested by irregular sexual cycles. Anovulation reduces fertility and peak infertility. Histological studies of the genital organs show desolation of the uterus glands, hyalinosis, and obliteration of the blood vessels of the uterus. In the ovaries, massive atresia of the follicles with the replacement with the connective tissue. With poor feeding, abnormal conditions of keeping, with excessive exploitation, as well as debilitating diseases, senile infertility of animal occurs earlier, that is, prematurely. Fertile varies substantially among bulls. In general, methods to predict fertility are better for identifying bulls with low fertility than for ranking bulls with good to excellent fertility. Compensated sperm abnormalities can be overcome by increasing dose used for artificial insemination. These are attributed to sperm reaching and penetrating in zona pellicula. In contrast, increasing the insemination dose does not improve fertility. For the uncountable defects, implying the sperm to able to cause fertilization, initiate development, but they do not sustain embryogenesis. Bull testes must be in 2 and 6 Celsius cooler than core body temperature for fertile sperms. Consequently, increased testicular temperature reduces semen quality. Increases nutrition before 30 weeks of age, increased luteinizing hormones, pulse frequency, hastening puberty, and the increase. However, attempts to correct nutrition deficiencies present during childhood by supplemental nutrition later in life were unsuccessful. There are several systems of classifying sperm abnormalities and dividing them into compensable and the uncompensable defect is a practical approach that is gaining popularity. Compensable abnormalities can be overcome by increasing the dose used for artificial insemination. Therefore, these abnormalities are generally believed to be associated with sperm reaching and penetrating zona pellicula, and such as are associated with sperm viability. Measures such as motility, acrosome integrity, and the cell membrane integrity. For example, sperm with knobed acrosomes or bent tails are unlikely to fertilize an ovum. In contrast, uncompensable defects are defined as fertility of a male and insemination dose that does not improve with the increased number of sperm, implying that the sperm are able to cause fertilization and initiate development, but unable to sustain embryogenesis, with most failures occurring before 8 days for breeding. Chromosomal abnormalities, protamine status, and perhaps abnormalities of RNA are believed to uncompensable defects. Thus, sperm would be expected to initiate fertilization but not sustain development. Furthermore, laboratory processing such as flow sorting sperm for sex selection can increase the number of uncompensable sperms defects. The threshold in sperm numbers is a limit beyond which further increases the sperm numbers or insemination dose fail for further increased fertility, which can be due reaching the limit of female fertility or value below the level of female fertility due to the present uncompensable sperm defects. Consequently, the threshold for a particular bull ejaculate can vary widely depending on the severity and the ratio of compensable and uncompensable sperm defects. To prevent the senial infertility, we can show the premature cessation of sexual activity in females. It's necessary to eliminate the causes leading to early aging of breeding animals. All animals should be covered in a timely manner. That is a lecture for today. Thank you for attention. Bye.